All right. Good morning, or whatever part of the world you're in, whatever part of the day it is for you. Maybe it's good evening. It's a little bit of a different topic, but I wanted to just kind of touch on sometimes it's not what you are saying, it's what people don't hear from you. And what I mean by that is I'm going to give a couple examples. And the first example is my mom. And one day, within the last few years, she referenced my early journey into fatherhood. And she had said, I don't know how you did it because you never complained. Now, the backstory to this is my ex, my children's mother, she was military. So when our oldest was born, she was deployed when our oldest was about 3 months old for a year, and we could not go with her. So here I was, full time job, had a baby, did the daycare, the drop offs, every feeding, every diaper change, all those things. And she said, you never complained. You never came and asked for help. It was less about the complaint, but you never came and asked for help. How do I do this or things like that? And my thought, I guess, at the time when I look back at it, because I never thought about it. And that's what I mean by it's not what you say, it's what people don't hear from you. She didn't hear complaints. She didn't hear, I can't do this. She didn't hear this is too much. And so that was a very special thing because your mom there we had siblings, so it wasn't like she just was raising one child like I was. She knew the rigors of raising multiple children, albeit my father was in the house, so she wasn't a single parent as I was doing single parent duties. But nevertheless, if you're a parent of one, a parent of multiples, whether you do it by yourself or with help, it has its small ebbs and flows of how it differs, but you know as a parent what that means. And so it was like this medal had been pinned on my chest, a lifetime medal that doesn't have a earthly value. It means somebody recognized something special in you. And when it's somebody like your parent, your mother, your father, for somebody to recognize something in you, that's a very special thing. So again, it was not about what I was saying. It was about what I wasn't saying, and it was something that I had never thought about. And she mentioned this years after my daughter's since been grown, but she mentioned it later. So it was just one of those like really aha moment. Like really, I guess I didn't, but it felt good. It felt really good just to know that somebody had acknowledged what it was that I was doing, even though I was only doing it because that's what you do. It wasn't look at me, but it was still appreciated. And it's one of those things that I just thought about that very special. It's a very special thought. So I wanted to kind of share that. The other is years later when my now ex and I were splitting, and I would go to work and talk to the guys at work. And this is where, let me just caveat this, when I talk about the men's wellness videos, if you're not sure, I'll put some at the end or I'll put a tab here or here. I'm not sure where it goes, but you can see some of the videos where I just talk about men being able to talk, especially in the workplace or places where we are familiar with people. But my point is, I was going to work and I was allowed to be heard. A lot of guys, anybody, male or female, if you're past a certain age, chances are you've gone through something like this and somebody's put a thumbprint on you. And thumbprint is another video I'll put a tab to. And especially if you've had children with somebody, if you've been with them for some amount of time, there's a mark. And so when you're going through that, a lot of times hard feelings can be a part of that. And what I was going through at the time during the split was not only the split itself, but what it was, the effect it was having on our children. I was now looking for a new home. I was having to go to family court. There was a man who was trying to be introduced to my daughters as who was going to be like a replacement father. There was a lot of heavy stuff going on. And again, working a second job on top of it, I did all the pickups and drop offs for my youngest. And it was a very trying time. And so everybody at my job was very aware of what I was going through. They were great, allowed me to talk. But this one guy, he was just a little bit different. He had the traits, and I believe he was going to school for something that would have been in the vein of like psychology. He knew how to listen. He wasn't trying to guide it. It wasn't, oh man, that sucks for you, or well, you know how it is. He listened, and you could tell he was listening, and he just allowed me to talk. He wasn't trying to judge it, nor was he trying to guide what I needed to do. He was just listening. And one day during all this, he said, you know, I've never heard you speak poorly about your children's mother. And it kind of just was just this wave of, wow. Again, I wasn't going out of my way to say, well, I want to look like a good guy and not, curse or, things like that. But I just didn't have those thoughts. I didn't have those feelings. There were 4 or 5 other things to concern myself rather than putting an energy towards that. And again, it's something that I had to think about in the aftermath of hearing that, because I was just moving about my paces. Same thing with the baby. It wasn't, hey, everybody, look how great of a father I am. It was like, I'm a father, so this is, you feed them, you drop them off, you take them to the park, all those things. And in this instance, well, I got to work a second job. I need to go pick up my daughter. I'm going to lose some sleep, things like that. But again, to him, in that instance, he heard a lot of what I was saying, but then he heard more from what I wasn't saying. And that was a very special thing. The same way with my mom and the child, it was hearing this man's thoughts on everything that he knew as far as what I was telling him. I thought that those two things were pretty special. I don't know if you guys understand or kind of like where I'm going with this. This is just a shared story. I don't know if there's a moral to it or something that wraps up. But if you have an ace up the sleeve, an advice, comment, experience on something like this, where maybe somebody's just kind of pinned that medal on you, where they've recognized something in you. And it gave me a sense of pride, which is why I say like a medal, because it felt like somebody was acknowledging or recognizing something, but in a very non-earthly way. It was almost like from a spirit to spirit, a soul to soul sort of thing, where somebody was willing to point out just something that they recognized to be, I guess, rather special to them. Or, yeah, I don't know. But if you have that sort of comment, story, or just, anything that you want to contribute in the chat, that would be great. Would love to hear it. And I hope this finds everybody in a place, pursuit, or beginnings of total health, mind, body, and soul. Peace, love, unity, solidarity. This is the part at the end where I'll say subscriptions are free. Share them with your friends. Please hit the likes, dislikes, and then I'm going to put some videos here at the end where you can check out the men's wellness. I believe I mentioned the thumbprint video, things like that. So love to have you. We'll see you soon.